Yo, what is up, everybody? It is DJ Riley, and I am back with my top 3 pitcher strikeouts. And no need to worry, this is not for the noon games. This is all for the late evening night games, endless. And if you tailed yesterday, you can see that we ended up going 2 and 3 on our picks. The Yuri Perez was the only one that did not hit, and that was a completely wrong read. That game had over 22-mile-an-hour winds, and even Bailey Auber for the Minnesota Twins ended up going a full 9 innings and only threw 89 pitches. So did not expect this type of outing from either pitcher, but nonetheless, we move on to today. So again, I've got my 3 favorite pitcher strikeouts, so be sure to stay to the end to catch all of those. So let's go ahead and jump into it. The first pick that I actually have here is Robbie Ray to go under 5.5 strikeouts versus this Dodgers team who they're quite familiar with in this pitcher. Now, he's kind of flirted with his line all season long. I wouldn't say he's absolutely dominated this. Now, he was on a downward trend, hitting this in 4 straight, and then followed it by these 2 games. Now, this Pittsburgh game is kind of one that's a little bit of an outlier. Pittsburgh strikes out the 5th most of any MLB team. So I think that this is a little bit of an outlier game. I think that he's been kind of figured out. He had his stretch, and now he's not necessarily being as dominant for strikeouts. And now he has this game versus the Los Angeles Dodgers, who simply don't strike out versus left-handed pitchers. You can see here they have the 8th fewest strikeouts in all of the MLB versus left-handed pitching, and they're also very picky whenever it comes to this, and they have the 9th overall walk to strikeout rate. So obviously very good, and even over their last 30 games. Right now we're about 40 games into this season, so this is applicable to this 2026 season. It doesn't date back to the 2025 season, but even then, still looking pretty good, ranking in at least in the top 10, top 12 in both of these regards. Now, yes, Robbie Ray does have a high strikeout rate for the 2026 season, ranking in the top 75th percentile, but again, this is the number that I worry about. He's struggled with a little bit of his command, ranking in the bottom 30th, allowing about 3 to 4 walks per game. And you can see again, this Dodgers team does a very good job of it. And if you look here across the board, what I really look at for this K percentage is batters over 30% K percentage. And here it's really only 1 and 2, which is Muncy, who is striking out a decent amount versus left-handed pitchers, but also Kim. And Kim has only had 8 at-bats versus left-handed pitchers, so I mean, this number is maybe a little bit inflated. It could take one more bat, and he kind of levels that out. So really, they're not striking out a lot versus left-handed pitchers, and they're very familiar with Ray. Again, all of these attempts versus him, he's really gonna have to mix it up, and I don't see them striking out a ton. Now, the next pick that I actually have here is Seth Lugo to go under 5.5 strikeouts as well. I was on something looking at a different thing and looking at how he performed, but it's to go under 5.5 strikeouts as well in this game. And if you look, yes, the Chicago White Sox team has been striking out a decent amount, but Seth Lugo's actually been struggling, because if you look over his last couple starts, you can see here that he's walked 11 batters over his last 4 games, and even looking at his earned runs, he's allowed, 13 runs over his last 3 starts as well. So he's really been struggling, and now walks into this game where he is facing, again, let me change this to the under. He is facing the Chicago White Sox team, who, yes, they strike out the 2nd most of any MLB team currently versus right-handed pitchers, but it is promising to see that they are making a little bit of progress over the last 30 games, dropping down 6 ranks, but also being more conservative at the plate, where they now rank top 10 for walk to strikeout rate, which is obviously very good, because again, Seth Lugo ranks in the bottom 44th percentile for walks allowed per 9. So again, you can see here 33% for Murakami, and then also 40% for Hill. Not sure if Hill's going to be in it, and Benintendi as well. So really, you have 2 batters to necessarily worry about in this versus a struggling Seth Lugo. Now, the next pick that I had here was actually Nick Lodolo to go under 5.5 strikeouts as well. So going all under at 5.5 strikeouts. So kind of crazy how that played out here. But he's only had actually 1 start this season. In that start, he really struggled. It was versus Houston. You can see he only had 2 strikeouts versus them. And if you go look at the earned runs allowed, he allowed 4 earned runs in his 1 start this year. So didn't really play a whole lot, only threw 78 pitches in that game. So he's still trying to get his footing. I would imagine he's on some sort of pitch count, because he did have an injury coming into here, which is why it took him a little bit, nearly over a month, to even get his first start. But if we go back to K's, look at the under here, 5.5 strikeouts on this play. And look at how this Washington team is. Now, this Washington team Yes, they are not necessarily the best. They are striking out at a heavy rate, and especially over their last 30 versus left-handed pitchers, but they have been one of the more conservative teams to start this year, ranking in the top 12 for walks per strikeout rate, and then yes, a little bit of a tick back over their last 30 games, but I would still rank middle of the pack for them. Now, if you look versus left-handed pitching, again, above a 30% is what we're looking at. We have Weimer, who is expected to be in the lineup today, striking out at a pretty high rate. But then next is Tana, which I don't think he's going to be in the lineup. Only has 4 possible attempts versus left-handed pitching. But then it's also James Wood. So again, you have 2 batters I feel that are kind of at a crucial spot versus Nick Lodolo, who I again believe is going to be on a pitch count. So either way, these are the 3 picks that I'm rolling with today. Is Nick Lodolo to go under 5.5 strikeouts, Seth Lugo to go under 5.5 strikeouts, and then lastly is Robbie Ray to also go under 5.5 strikeouts. Taking that on PrizePicks for a 6x payout. Anyways, let me know if you are tailing along with, and best of luck today. If y'all want picks to everything that I am placing right now, that is in our WAP community. You can find that down in the description below. Best of luck to y'all. Y'all take care.